Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Dun dun. Da da dun dun. Da da dun. Da 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 dun. Da 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 da. Goldberg's back, everybody. Get hyped. Headbuck a locker for me. I'm Mr. Davis. I'm joined by Chopper Pete Quinnell of the All Authority. Lukewarm Luke Owen is taking a week off this week because he didn't take enough time off last year, and he's making up for it. But yes, Goldberg returned on last night's Legends Night episode, a special episode of Raw. The first episode of Raw in 2021 kicked it off in the most WWE way possible. Here's a load of former stars to artificially bump a rating, and Goldberg's back. And he's not just back, he returned in the main event. He's challenging for a top title.
Classic Goldberg, really, isn't it? Yeah. This had such strong similarities between him coming out to Roman Reigns last year for their WrestleMania match, where he just came out and was just like, it's a title, innit? And Roman goes, yeah. And then they had a match. Well, supposed to have a match before Roman pulled out. But yeah, this one was very much just like, oh, Drew McIntyre had an amazing WWE Championship match with Keith Lee. And now Goldberg's here and he goes, you got a title? And Drew goes, mm-hmm. It's made, isn't it? Cool.
You're not my dad. That's also what Drew said. Well, let's run through this because there are many confusing layers to this. There's also the last month of backstage reports that we've had about Goldberg, potential WrestleMania plans. I don't know if this disproves them or if it just sort of means WWE are temporarily going a different course to get there. So what happened was Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre had, for my money, an excellent main event. We'll talk about that at the end of the play-by-play portion of the review. But afterwards, all the legends were out on the stage, needlessly, to watch the match. And Drew's about to cut a promo to put over Keith Lee, to say, what a good opponent you are. I thought Keith Lee was going to turn for a second.
Yeah. Because he was standing in the middle of the ring afterwards. And, he gave the fist bump. And then he turned around to walk away. And then he just stood in the ring. And I was like, oh, Keith?
Yeah. I wish the camera made more of that. You could have done a Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, Revolution, little bit of camera work for that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Goldberg makes his entrance, and you're like, of course it is. Of course. And he comes down. There is a slight red mark on his head where he's obviously done his often reported, self-confessed pre-match ritual of headbutting a locker, something he said he was going to stop doing because he started forgetting lines.
I should have something to say, but it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
But, it works for him. Maybe just, I don't think, it's like, I need a drink. I need an alcoholic drink before I go on air to give me a bit of a buzz. It's that damaging. You're literally destroying blood cells, brain cells. Anyway, Goldberg comes down. He grabs the microphone before Drew can speak and proceeds to cut a promo on Drew that was actually seemingly meant for Randy Orton.
Yeah, this was weird because the entire night, which we'll get into more later, Randy Orton was just running down all the legends, finding various legends and just running down, being like, you're old, I'm amazing. Do you remember that time when I kicked you in the head? Lol, 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 lol. Pretty much was that was his whole arc throughout the whole night. And then at the end, Goldberg comes out and he says, Drew, you don't respect the legends that are on the stage. When you look at all the men and women back here, you think they're better than they ever were in their prime. I'm like, where's this come from? Who are you? What? Drew hasn't said anything about any of the legends at all tonight. What are you talking about? He cut a promo with Hulk Hogan earlier and he said it was an honor. What are you talking about, Goldberg? This was weird.
And McIntyre said exactly that. He was like, I didn't say any of that at all. I don't know why you're out here. I like you. But yeah, if you just WWE forget their own stuff all the time. So, like, them forgetting that they built the whole Randy Orton final match around Drew McIntyre saving the legends, representing the legends, being very respectful to the legends. That's WWE. That's the sort of product they put out. It's almost futile arguing. But to do it on the same show with Hulk Hogan, and he was very, like you said, very complimentary, put over Hogan, which I got the sense from Drew that he didn't want to.
Same. I was right, like, he's doing this promo through his teeth.
Yeah. Which I don't know if he feels the same towards Goldberg. He's a smart guy. I don't know if he's ecstatic about facing Goldberg at a pay-per-view on the road to WrestleMania. Like, we all thought The Fiend was pretty safe.
Yeah, this is exactly the same cycle as last year, where it was like, look, here's Goldberg, inevitably going to pop a rating because it's a surprise thing and people like Goldberg, the casual audience especially. So it's going to pop a rating and WWE go, Goldberg's ratings, let's put the title on him. It's a flawless plan. It's exactly what they did last year. And I'm really scared that they're going to do exactly the same thing this year.
Yeah, so let's try and work out. Let's try and unpack what we think is going to happen here. To catch everyone up, the long reported plan has been Roman Reigns. Well, we broke this. We broke this story on WrestleTalk.com with Louis Dangour. He said that his sources told him it was going to be Goldberg versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. That was the match they were going to do because they can't do Rock at 37, effectively. Now, Daniel Bryan last week declared himself for the Royal Rumble. The idea was it was going to be Reigns versus Bryan at Royal Rumble, then Reigns was going to face Goldberg at Mania. But now, apparently, it might be Bryan at WrestleMania. So Bryan Reigns at WrestleMania, which means Goldberg is this floating character. He's come out here. I think everyone expected it to be a rehash of that ultimately dropped Roman versus Goldberg WrestleMania 36 match. But no, it looks like from out of nowhere, it's going to be Goldberg versus Drew, at least at the Royal Rumble. I guess you could have that match. Goldberg somehow loses, or God forbid wins, and we get a champion versus champion match. And you still go with that at WrestleMania versus Roman. I think that's a terrible idea because you've got two heels there, essentially. Roman's being booked as a heel, but Goldberg will be treated as a heel. But here, I felt like Goldberg was being a heel.
Yeah. See, the thing with the show as well is because they ran over time. A lot of the segments were overtime, and everything went out of schedule as the show progressed. So that the ending segment was cut very short. So I don't know what Drew's promo was going to be, and whether it was going to be him being very complimentary of the legends, and he was supposed to be like, oh, I'm surrounded by all these lovely people here and stuff. And then Goldberg comes out and be like, you don't believe those words that you're saying, you idiot, which would have been slightly more face, but even still, that's still a bit like delusional heel side of things. But the fact that Drew didn't get to cut a promo means that Goldberg is just really insecure and like really delusional about everything, which is super weird. So yes, it really did make him come off like a heel. I don't think that was intentional, though. I don't think Goldberg's supposed to be a heel. I think they just screwed up the segment and it came off weird, and they'll never reference it again. And Goldberg will just be Goldberg in the coming weeks.
Yeah, that could definitely happen. We were talking on our sort of first team meeting of the year earlier today on Google Meets with everyone that another worst case scenario could be Goldberg beats Drew at Royal Rumble. You have Goldberg as a heel, and then Drew gets to win it back at WrestleMania 37, maybe in front of fans.
Why though? What would be the point? I don't understand. What's the benefit?
But we're not saying like this is a good idea. We're trying to predict what WWE are thinking.
Yeah, I know, but it just makes me mad because I don't get the point. If you want to give Drew a big kind of victory with a big pop kind of thing, don't make him look rubbish before then. And also, you're going to have to wait for a full capacity audience to get the pop you really want, because at the minute it's going to be like a half pop, which is, again, not what you really want for Drew. It's just really unfortunate timing. There's no way around it. Drew's going to have to wait. And I don't think the way to manufacture that is to take the title off him to then have him win it back again. This would be the second time if they'd done it, because they did it with Orton randomly. So this would be the second time they've done it to Drew, which, unless they just really want to hotshot the title and make him a 3-time WWE champion real quick, like I think that would be terrible. There was one even worse possibility that I came up with in the call that everyone loved, which was Goldberg beats Drew, is the champion, Brock Lesnar returns and wins the Rumble, Goldberg versus Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that is the worst timeline, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's such a shame that we're having this conversation again about Goldberg fighting for a title after WrestleMania 36. I think we all thought, okay, WWE have got it out of their system now. They can put Goldberg back to where he belongs, which is having fun squash matches against Dolph Ziggler, having Saudi Arabia matches with The Undertaker. Like all that, look, it was crap, but, that's not what it's about. It's about Saudis seeing this sort of old Attitude Era Legends matchup. But yeah, we're having this conversation again. Let's see what you all think on the hyper chats.
Cyper chats, yeah.
Get your hyper chats in at WrestleTalk.com/support. We will read out every single one of them before the end of the show. Blind Raw says, a small donation for having to watch and review Raw instead of enjoying and gushing over the 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom. Cheers, lads. You're really taking one for the team. On topic, main event of Raw was fun. Goldberg was not. Spoke complete nonsense.
Yes, he did. And also, some of the lines that Goldberg said literally didn't make sense. Not because of the lack of context with Drew and stuff, but he was out there being like, don't think I'm coming out here to make a threat. Don't think that I'm demanding anything. I'm going to challenge you. I was like, that is a demand. What are you talking about, Goldberg?
The guy headbutted a locker.
He did, yeah. It's true. Yeah.
Garrett Albright with a very generous hyper chat. Thank you very much. First ever ultra chat. Seeing as how Goldberg has already called out Reigns on the bump, could see Reigns interfere at Rumble to cost Goldberg in order to set up the Mania match. God, I hope not, but could see it. That is I'd never thought of that, but that is I guess if WWE are gonna do Goldberg Reigns, that's the best way to get there from where we are now.
Yes, I guess you want to know. No, I've come up with something even worse. If they are gonna do Goldberg Reigns, Goldberg loses to Drew and then enters the Men's Rumble anyway and wins, and then he challenges Reigns instead of McIntyre because he already lost to him. That would be rubbish.
Sam Wall. If Keith versus Drew got a good rating, Vince will probably view that as Goldberg getting a good rating. Excited to see Goldberg beat Drew and Brock return and win the Rumble. Sam's on board with you. Reece Johnson, afternoon, lads. Hope you're both well. I hate the way WWE use Goldberg. He's so overrated. He can't wrestle and promos are naff. I just hope they've learned from the Fiend reaction in Saudi and have Drew squash him clean in a minute and never see him again.
That would be amazing. I mean, not necessarily the whole never see him again thing, because I think he does have some sort of value, especially to the casual audience, but Drew winning quickly against Goldberg would actually be kind of cool. It won't happen, but that would be amazing.
It's going to have to be a short match, a sub 5-minute match if it's one-on-one. So it'll be quick, whatever route they go with. Yeah. Sadie Lady 59. Do you all think WWE Creative wrote Goldberg's promo back when Randy was champ and Goldie just refused to learn a new one, or he forgot the new promo and forgot who Drew was? Love you boys. All Authority are a bunch of lovely boys.
Yeah.
Jam. Yeah, it was really
so weird,
thematically weird, which is why I think Goldberg might be doing a delusional heel shtick. It also, people are saying it's very similar to Randy's character. I feel like it's the promo he would have done for Roman Reigns as well.
Yeah,
you're disrespecting the name of the Anoa'i family, all those legends.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Bonzaray, they could have had Goldberg versus Miz at the Rumble for the briefcase. Predicting Goldberg versus Owens for Mania.
Don't get me wrong, I'd much prefer Goldberg to be not fighting for a title at WrestleMania. Totally get that. I don't think I'd want Kevin Owens to be dragged into the Goldberg vortex because we've already had that once before when he was Universal Champion. Let's not do that again.
I think KO versus Goldberg, KO wins.
That would be something.
Would be nice, but I'm not optimistic. Charles Berg, here's how this conversation went. Goldberg, Vince, I want to beat Roman. Vince, we can't do that, Bill. Goldberg, but the kids need to remember I'm a superhero. Vince, okay, I'll feed you Drew. Also, I came up with the big bro was Monday S word on Ric Flair Day. Oh, okay, sorry, I thought that was still part of Vince's dialogue.
No.
Well done for coming up with the big bro. Charles Berg came up with all those bro puns. But yeah, Ric Flair did get a bit of a...
He did.
A not nice time.
We'll talk about that whole match later because what was that? Goodness me.
Joe Binley, this company, Goldberg, do you want to do it in Luke's voice?
This company.
Goldberg is 54 and so boring. If he wins the title, then I'll never watch the product again. The amount of disrespect shown to the fans and younger talent is disgraceful.
Yeah, I mean, I know the promo was probably in character, but Mustafa Ali summed it up best on Raw Talk, just being like, these legends paved the way, but they literally never let us walk that path. What's the point in them paving something for us if we literally can never use it? Stop doing this. Yeah.
What a promo.
Yeah, it's great, wasn't it?
Renee, I want to say how genuinely upset I got from Goldberg coming back. Normally I like Goldberg, but as of late, not really. And I'm in fear that he's going to fiend Drew McIntyre, fiend being a verb now. But if Drew wins, he can be an even bigger star and be solidified as a star.
Yeah, kinda. I don't think Drew gets anything from beating Goldberg, though. I really don't, because he's already beaten Lesnar and held the title for like a solid year, bar the one loss to Orton. But I don't, maybe in the eyes of the casual fans, but I don't see, there's a lot of people that I don't think him beating Goldberg would be like, well, now Drew's a main eventer, because like he already is. I don't know.
You can take this, you can play this clip back to me. I think Drew is going to beat Goldberg. And you know what? Fine. It's the Royal Rumble. That pay-per-view isn't about the title matches. It's about the Rumble matches. Whatever. Right? You get Goldberg on TV for a few weeks. Vince is happy. They need the ratings right now. Maybe Goldberg will bring some of those in. I'm going to take a positive outlook.
Yeah. See, if it all goes to plan and Drew beats Goldberg, fine. He beat this huge megastar, continues his run. Goldberg is not seen at WrestleMania or anywhere else near the show or anything at all. This was his, instead of WrestleMania, he's here at the Rumble having a title match. That's his thing. Fine. I can deal with that.
I'll tell Vince. Pete signed off on it.
Yeah.
Matthew Robinson, I think he was supposed to put over Keith Lee, and then Goldberg comes out, but I think they ran out of time, so they just sent out Goldberg. Yeah, poor Keith Lee. But
he evaporated.
Yeah.
At the end of that.
And finally, for now, Chris Wagstaff, Drew to beat Goldberg. Goldberg enters the Rumble, and then Riddle eliminates Goldberg.
Imagine.
Oh.
Imagine. Oh, man.
Get all your hyper chats to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one of them before the end of the show. But right now, let's get into Legends Night and a play-by-play review. Legends Night. Oh, what a night. Was it what a night, Pete?
Not really.
Yeah, I feel the same. The legends didn't do anything. I guess Goldberg, but what is he? Is he a legend? He's a legend.
He's a WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. Davis. Therefore, legend.
Well, that's prestigious. Alicia Fox is a WWE legend. So the show opens on a close-up of a phone and a voiceover of Hulk Hogan. The phone has some like Hulk Hogan stickers on, and he's saying, you know, share us on Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, brother, using your H phone. So what they've done there, Pete, is they've taken the iPhone and they've replaced the I with an H, which would have been a semi-okay joke when the iPhone was first released 15 years ago. What?
I mean, I feel like we quite often become desensitized to ridiculous nonsense in WWE. But just think for a minute. Just think about this. Because this is the opening to your show. It holds no relevance across the rest of the show, apart from the fact to show that legends are here. Look, it's Hulk Hogan. But it's him talking about absolutely nothing. It's him talking about a thing that doesn't exist, about social media to get them social media clicks. I just watched it just being like, what is that? Why are you... Play the opening bumper. Play the sting. Do the thing. This was dumb. Really dumb.
Yeah, it was a weird start. If you're going to do something funny with Hogan, have him out there promoting a spaghetti machine or whatever it was he used to have in those product endorsement days. Then we got just these Miz TV segments have been terrible. I bet you're glad you don't have to review them usually on SmackDown.
I mean, I always said when they were on SmackDown, it was always like a coin flip whether they were actually funny on that particular night or not. And there'd be the odd time where I'd be like, that's all right. But most of the time it was like, this was one of the times. I think John Morrison could be really good as a really like goofy like guy that can't help but give in to the good guys kind of thing, even though the Miz is trying to be like, no, don't talk to them, you know. Where'd you get your clothes? The toilet store? You know, stuff like that you have on Anchorman. Stuff like that. John Morrison's really good at that. He's also a really good wrestler, though, isn't he? And he's not being used at all. Yeah, this isn't doing a lot for me, this stuff.
Yeah, that was depressing. So what happened was Teddy Long came out. New Day were the guests on Miz TV. I thought the segment was so bad that they made the New Day quite obnoxious and annoying because they were sort of doing Miz and Morrison shtick. And then Teddy Long comes out. I'm going to book you one-on-one with The Undertaker. Haha, that's I thought that was funny.
That's a good line, yeah.
Adam Pearce comes out and says, Undertaker's kind of retired for now. And we're going to have a tag team match instead. And they had a pretty decent tag match, especially, like you said, when Morrison and Kofi were in there. And I like, as I was watching, I was like, man, John Morrison's good. Like some of the things he's doing. There was this forearm exchange between Woods and Morrison I thought was sold really realistically. And then just as I was typing, man, Morrison's really, he took the pin. And then I reminded myself, it was about this time last year that he returned.
Yeah. And do you want to know something else bonkers as well? They mentioned as part of the match on commentary, they were like, Kofi Kingston and John Morrison, part of the really great ladder match at WrestleMania last year. I was like, oh my God, that was an amazing ladder match, wasn't it? Oh my God, it was such a great match. And yeah, they've done absolutely nothing since then. It's kind of depressing because John Morrison's really good. He had that one awesome match against Matt Riddle on SmackDown. And that's it. That's all he's done in like a year.
Well, it looks like New Day are sort of going to stay at the top of the tag division for now. Miz and Morrison. They've gone back to Miz having the briefcase. They're not really a tag act. Then we get a Charlie Caruso interview with Randy Orton. This was, I would argue, one of the biggest cliffhangers going into the show. Did Randy Orton murder Alexa Bliss? My echo didn't hear that this time. The answer was no. And he revealed this by just saying, I had a bit of compassion. And that's it. What a disappointing sell.
Yeah. And I'll say as well, like, obviously me and whoever it was last week, I've genuinely lost track of who my podcast co-hosts have been in the last week. Would have been Laurie last week. Yeah. We were saying, like, the cliffhanger was bad anyway, because it doesn't make any sense, because WWE's timeline is the same as our timeline. So time moves at the same pace. So you can't do a cliffhanger like that. But if you wanted to do that cliffhanger, one, doesn't make sense. But two, you come in the next week, you start off with the culmination of that cliffhanger. You didn't. You had Miz TV and the Hulk doing a phone thing. And then you come in for Orton to just be like, oh yeah, by the way, didn't do that thing that was, the big culmination of last week, the thing that was supposed to hook you into this week. Nah, didn't do it, mate.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the... It was like, there was a lot of bad stuff on this show, but like low-key, that was probably the worst thing. Maybe Shayna. Maybe Shayna losing was the worst thing, actually. But this was close. But that Randy sort of put over that idea that whoever faces the Fiend changes in some way. And he said, well, it's obviously given me this compassion. I didn't murder a woman. And that's
it's just it's true. That's the thing. It sounds so dumb, but it's true. He's saying he has compassion because he didn't murder a woman.
He was putting away a good 5 or 6 a month before he faced the Fiend. And now on national television, he decides it's not a good idea.
Why am I here? Why am I reviewing this?
So he said he wants to get rid of that compassion. So he's going to go through the entire night, Legends Night, bullying legends. And that's what he did. We'll get to every single one of them. Angel Garza is the 24/7 champion. He's trying to chat up Alicia Fox, I think. Then he tried to chat up Mickie James, Sergeant Slaughter, and someone else were there. Yeah, it's depressing in many ways. First off, the legends really didn't have anything to do. And I think it's grossly irresponsible to bring in more people than is needed during a pandemic. And Garza's the 24/7 champion. I'm more angry about that, to be honest. I've kind of made my peace with WWE's ridiculous coronavirus measures. But Garza is the 24/7 title holder? That's too far.
It is too far, especially because we had the report from WrestleVotes being like, oh yeah, all the writers have made a list of people that could have been treated, that could be a star if they were better utilized. We're like, oh, Angel Garza's on that list. That's cool. And then like the next week he came back and he was doing some backstage stuff. People were like, oh, have they decided to pull the trigger on this Garza stuff? No, they haven't. They've just done the same stuff. He's still there, just giving roses to people. And now he's part of the 24/7 title picture.
After that, though, we did get a follow-up on Garza later. After that, I thought we got a really decent TV match between AJ Styles and Elias. And the reason I liked it is because Elias is usually quite boring. But AJ worked face here. And I thought he made, some of it could be Elias, definitely. But I thought AJ made Elias look great. Like the way he gave him a lot of spots. Elias threw AJ sort of gut first onto the top turnbuckle. He had a pretty cool looking choke slam. Great block of a phenomenal forearm. I was impressed with Elias. I imagine it's AJ, but ultimately AJ won with the Styles clash. But I thought it was a good kind of match that got both guys over. Yeah,
I was less into this match simply because they had the same thing last week, which was AJ versus Elias, which you didn't see. This one was better than last week, just because last week they were both working heel. It was really weird. And there was no, they had some weird backstage thing where they were interrupted Elias playing the guitar. It was strange. But yeah, this week worked much better because, like I said, AJ worked face, and that actually allowed him to put over Elias more than last week. And I said last week that I was actually quite impressed with Elias in the ring. This week, more so. I think he looked great. Like you said, AJ probably helped a lot with that because he's AJ Styles. He makes anyone look great. But yeah, it was a solid match. Plus, it had the really cool spot afterwards, after AJ won, where would have been great if they'd have done the camera work properly. But Jackson Breaker comes in with a guitar. He's going to smash it over AJ Styles' back. And Omos, who's there, just kicks the guitar out of his hand, smashes it with his foot. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, great timing. I actually thought the camera work was spot on because you didn't see Omos coming to kick it out the way.
I didn't realize what had happened the first time I saw it, though. It was one camera angle, and then it kind of switched. And I was like, oh, he did. I know almost did something, but I didn't quite catch what it was. And then they showed the replay. I was like, oh, that's cool. I really like that. Yeah,
Omos is. I think he gets a bit of a bad shake of the stick because everyone, me included, he's just a big guy he's put there. But they've actually done a really good job with him in just how they're presenting him. After that, Matt Riddle pitched the Big Bro to the Big Show backstage, and Randy threatened Big Show with beating him up. I thought Randy's interaction with all the legends was actually very good. He's a good actor in that respect. And then we got a clip of Charlotte Flair declaring herself for the Royal Rumble match. And then we got a tag match of Flair and Asuka versus Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans. Your favorite match, it seems.
This was weird. This was really, really weird. Okay, so for starters, I wrote on here, oh yeah, I forgot that Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans were a tag team. And then my next note was, oh yeah, I forgot that Charlotte Flair and Asuka are a tag team, and they're the champions. Totally forgot about that one as well. But this match was designed to like make Charlotte look awesome. She came in, she was in control. The heels then took control before she immediately came back and just went straight back into control again. Asuka came in and got beaten down. Charlotte gets the hot tag. But the really weird thing about this match is that Lacey Evans the whole time was flirting with Ric Flair. Like from the off, she was waving at him and being like, hey honey, all that stuff that she does. And was flirting with him the whole time. When it got to a point where Charlotte came over and slapped her, they were brawling on the outside. Don't know why the ref didn't call for a DQ there. Two non-legal people brawling on the outside. History goes to tell us anything. It should have been a DQ there. Yes, but then it got to the finish where Lacey Evans starts like crawling along the apron towards Ric Flair and grabs his tie and like tries to like pull him in for a kiss? Question mark? Who knows? Charlotte then like boots her off the side. Charlotte gets back in the ring with Peyton Royce as the other legal competitor. Peyton goes for a kick, which misses. Charlotte then bounces off the ropes, and Ric Flair then trips Charlotte. Peyton is nowhere near her at this point, in like the middle of the ring. Ric Flair trips Charlotte, his own daughter. She then gets rolled up by Peyton Royce and loses. And then Ric's like, "Oh no! I didn't mean to do that. Oh, I'm so mad for you." But why though? You tripped Charlotte. There's no one else you could have tripped.
Oh, he was so horny, Pete. He was so horny. He just reached out for his daughter's leg.
That's got some worrying implications.
I'm literally that's what happened. That's the story they told. You ever get so horny you just blindly fumble in a different direction? And maybe not. But yeah, it's Peter. Look, this didn't make any sense.
No,
I actually thought the match was. I was ready to hate it at the start because it was all Charlotte. But then when Peyton kicked out of the double moonsault, I was like, hey, now I'm into it. It's a shame Asuka's such a an afterthought in all of this.
Complete afterthought, yeah.
But I've been saying from the moment she got back, Charlotte needs to go heel. She's not someone who works as a face. So if when Charlotte shouted at Ric Flair afterwards, if that's the route they have to go to get there, so be it.
Yeah, I think this is the start of, because I'm Mr. Optimistic today, I think this is the start of her turning heel, which is a good thing. I think she's going to win the Rumble, and it's going to be Charlotte versus Asuka at WrestleMania. It's going to be Charlotte, two Rumbles back to back. Yay.
After that, we got Hulk Hogan hyping up Drew. Drew didn't seem to want to do it with him, but he was a professional and he did the poses. Brief flash of anger when Drew asked Hogan if Sheamus would be his Jimmy Hart. And Sheamus was like, that's really nicely building their relationship. I'm a big fan of that. Then we got, I thought, a really decent match between Matt Riddle and Bobby Lashley. They were very physical. I really enjoyed it. It was back and forth as opposed to Riddle gets worked overloads. And, you've got that sort of MMA history behind them both. But then the finish was weird, where Lashley has the Lashley lock-in, twists so the referee can't see. Riddle taps on Lashley's body. Lashley lets go, thinking he's won, and Riddle rolls him up, and the referee counts 3.
Yeah. And the commentators were putting him over to be like, really smart move from Riddle. And it's like, is that smart or is that just a dick move?
Yeah.
Like, you pretended that you lost. Like, you should have lost. If the referee had done their job properly, then you would have lost. That's just taking advantage of, that's bending the rules. That's a heel move. That's not smart or clever or, devious baby face. It was a bit strange. Like, I get what they were trying to do. I don't think it worked. I don't think it worked for Riddle's character at all.
I'm worried that they see Matt Riddle's character as a sort of Eddie Guerrero style face who can cheat and it's endearing. When I don't think that's the appeal at all. Just a little bit of housekeeping. I got a new camera, see, but unfortunately I haven't got enough ports. So this is currently going into the power outlet. And I figured the laptop would last for an hour and a quarter, but it's at 6%. I'm going to plug in the power. But it'll momentarily, it'll take me to my rubbish camera. Okay.
This is going to be so seamless. You watch, people won't even notice that you're gone.
You can hear me though, right?
Except for the WrestleTalk logo that's on the screen.
Oh my God, there's so many messages going. It looks like your camera was unplugged. Okay, there we go. And absolutely seamlessly.
This is great.
Oh no!
This is also brilliant podcast content. This as well. Real good.
Do I have to leave and come back?
Oh my God.
Oh no. Okay, Pete, start talking about what happened next. I'm gonna exit and come back in.
God, this stream's going so well. Okay. Riddle versus Lashley was very good. Hey, welcome back. There he is.
This was always my... God damn it, I'm rubbish. You can see the wall. We're 40 minutes in now. I think if you're watching by this point.
Now we know. Right. After that, we had Ricochet and Mark Henry were backstage. Mark Henry was on a scooter.
Yeah, is that a mobility thing? Is he okay?
I think so. I think it must have just been a prop to show like, oh, he's old. But I think he's actually okay. They just did it for laughs, right? I think. And then Ricochet was saying something about, I'm not going to give in to retribution or whatever it was he said. Randy comes in and then just runs him down and just being like, hey, you used to throw World's Strongest Slams on me all the time with the Hall of Pain, but now you're old and you're on a scooter. Go on, scoot out of here. I'm giving you a free pass.
Yeah, so another legend, another human. Randy had the compassion not to murder on national TV.
What a guy.
After that, we got MVP and Lashley being very angry about the Riddle victory over them. So, I wasn't into the finish, but if this takes it to an even more physical version of that match for the title, you'd assume. Whatever.
And uncommonly good promo from Lashley as well. He's not very well known for his good promos, but I thought this was very good.
I agree. I'm gonna occasionally look into the...
You really should have it so you got a 2-camera setup. You can just flick between them and just do the side gags. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So one of the other things that happened next was the worst thing on the show. Actually, I think Mandy Rose versus Shayna Baszler. This is after their sort of interactions last week. Mandy Rose comes out. Shayna attacks her on the entrance ramp. So Dana Brooke comes out for the match in her place, wearing not her in-ring gear. So she's just wearing, well, they're not normal clothes, are they? They're clothes you wear out to a night in Maidstone, I believe.
Yes, specifically Maidstone, yes.
Yeah, Maidstone's where they film Take Me Out.
Cool.
It's near where I live. Well, where my family's from. Then Brooke rolls. So Shayna immediately gets her into the Kirifuda clutch. Okay, that's good. And then Brooke rolls her back in that sort of way where the shoulders are on the mat. Shayna gets pinned. It went all of 30 seconds. What's the point?
Yeah. And like the cool thing about it was that after the 3 count happened, Shayna still had the Kirifuda in. Like they got back up and Shayna still had it in. But the damage has already been done. She already got pinned. If that was a 2 count and she kept it in, that's a cool spot. But no, she just lost. And then Mandy came back in and they both just beat her up and dumped her out the ring. What was the point of any of this? I don't know. Is this leading to a 2-on-1 handicap match where Shayna's going to win? because they've really done a poor build to it.
Did I miss something with Jax? Where's she?
She wasn't with her match last week, even though Shayna accompanied her to Jax's match last week.
I don't know. Maybe this is building a tag match to become the number one contenders to the tag titles again.
Sure.
Yeah, it's bad though. Randy then had an interaction with Ric Flair backstage. Interestingly, IRS was in this segment. I think it was Molly Holly as well. IRS. Great to see that he's doing well because he had a health scare last year. IRS is the real life dad of Bray Wyatt, the man Randy Orton murdered last month.
But it's another person he didn't murder. Could have done it, but he didn't.
Matt Riddle gave Keith Lee a pep talk. New year, new champ. I actually thought that was quite fun. And then Randy Orton took on Jeff Hardy.
Went straight for the earlobes again. Straight back to where we were at Hell in a Cell. Goodness me. Yeah, that was... It's always uncomfortable to watch that. Not going to lie. Grosses me out a little bit. But it was a pretty solid match. I thought there wasn't all that much more to it. I'd say it was like earlobes. Those are the things we're going to be focusing on. But yeah, the match itself was fine. Randy Orton won with an RKO. Sure. Yeah. It was all right.
Went through a couple of commercial breaks. Nothing really to separate this from a match they would have had 10 years ago. Then we got Melina, friend of the channel. Back. She was rumored to have been going to NXT at some point late last year. But she's here now, and she sort of did the Lucha points for the Lucha House Party as they were making their way to the ring. Again, 0 point of her being there. Like many of the legends, unfortunately, there was no storyline purpose. And this was before the Hurt Business versus the Lucha House Party in a non-title match. I was looking forward to this. I really like the Hurt Business as tag team champions. So, of course, they're teasing a breakup angle. They kept blind tagging themselves in. This match went like 3-4 minutes. There was no time at all. And all the sort of infighting let Lucha House Party roll up Shelton to win.
Great. Literally one of the best things of 2020 was the Hurt Business. I don't understand. Now that they're tag champs, why would you want to ruin that? Why would you want to break it up? Or even tease breaking it up? Yeah. Like, just have them be dominant champions and just cool guys. That's what they do. They're really good at that. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I love Lucha House Party, and I think they're really talented in the ring and probably deserve more than what they've gotten. But this isn't a way to build to anything, really. This is probably not them getting a title match, because they're still probably going to do New Day more than anything, unless it's going to be some sort of triple threat thing. But if they are going to do that, it's a terrible way to build to it, to have some sort of infighting thing. It's weird.
Maybe, yeah. Look, this is a well-told story. It's a rare case where WWE are telling a story well, because this has been going... but very well foreshadowed over a couple of months now. I just don't want them to tell it. I don't think it's a good story to tell right now at this point in the Hurt Business's run. Hopefully it all resolves at Royal Rumble. Maybe they're all in the match at the same time and they work together there, or they turn on Cedric. Yeah, I can see either happening. Anyway, Cedric walked off when MVP was shouting at him. After that backstage, we got Tori Wilson, who looks younger than when she was last on TV. I don't know how she's doing it. Angel Garza tried to ask her out. Tori Wilson said, "Oh no, but there's a pop culture reference waiting round the corner." So Angel Garza is like, "Okay, pop culture reference." And he walks round and it's Boogeyman. Angel Garza's so scared, he falls over into an R-Truth. Schoolboy. Truth wins back the 24/7 title, and Ron Simmons says, "Damn."
Yep. I have nothing else to add to that. You explained everything that happened and all my thoughts on it.
What's your thoughts on WAP? Cardi B. Yeah.
I haven't heard it still, nor do I plan to.
Well, it's prepare yourself. Don't play it around anyone else, because they'll think you're pretty rude.
It's crude. I know. Yeah. I've heard you talking about it.
Yeah.
Made it into the best of WrestleTalk 2020 video.
Cardi B was the person round the corner. The Cardi B actually did tweet
Mhm.
about WWE, didn't tag WWE. I'm sure their social media team was furious about that. They're so thirsty for any kind of relevancy. And
Mhm.
now they got a tweet from a Cardi B. It's
Yep.
no Cardi A, but hey, they got Cardi B. And
There's always a Cardi B.
I'm getting a message from Randy Andy Datson. Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg as a match at Royal Rumble was a decision only made on Saturday. That's what Dave Meltzer's reporting.
That doesn't surprise me with all the teasing that they were doing of Goldberg and Reigns and all that stuff on the bump. I'm not surprised. Yeah, this kind of came out of nowhere.
Anyway, the main event that wasn't Goldberg was actually bloody terrific. It was Drew McIntyre versus Keith Lee, a big man versus big man match. It felt big time because of that, because it was for the championship, but also, actually having all the legends up on the stage watching on did make it feel a bit even more significant. And they had some great spots here.
Yeah, they did. There was one in an ad break that we didn't even get to see, which was Powerbomb on like the corner of the announce table. Looked rough for Keith Lee to take. There was a really cool top rope Spanish fly. Awesome.
From Keith Lee.
From Keith Lee, yeah. And the one thing that I haven't really said it because I've not been watching, I've not been reviewing Raw, but the one thing that I wasn't a huge fan of Keith Lee on the main roster is that he doesn't seem to be doing as much of his athletic stuff. He just feels like a bit more of like a big guy rather than an athletic big guy. This match was very much, he's an athletic big guy. Look at all the big things he can do. Leapfrogs and Spanish flies and all the big crazy stuff that Keith Lee does. And I was like, okay, this feels like Keith Lee. This is great. Yeah, and I thought the finish was great as well. Teasing going into the Spirit Bomb before Drew countered, bounced off the ropes and hit a Claymore. Made Keith look great in defeat. Like it didn't. I don't think it damaged Keith that much. It was just like, no, Drew's just better right now. But Keith has a ways to go. He's still, comparative on the main roster. He's a young guy, so I think, yeah, it's logical for him to want to build up more and challenge again in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. I really enjoyed the match. I was so happy Keith Lee got to present himself in that way. I thought Drew made him look awesome as well. And yeah, on another night, maybe Lee could have won, kayfabe-wise. But the nitpicky, all the cool spots, so the powerbomb through the table, the pounce over the barricade, weren't actual, they were so superficially done. It happened, and then they went to an ad break, and it came back, and that spot hadn't affected anything. Keith Lee wasn't on top when he'd done those things. So I just, and even the Spanish fly at the end, absolutely incredible. But it's Drew McIntyre who gets up first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, but I just don't understand how these things connect. They're just little bits to hit. Like it's spots. That's all they are. They're high spots in those instances, rather than feeding into the drama of the match. But maybe that's the sort of match they wanted to have. They're just like, let's go out there and do high spots rather than tell an actual story, I thought. But that's not to say I love spot matches. One of my favorites matches of the last 5 years is Goldberg versus Lesnar. But yeah, and then we got Goldberg coming out. Overall, the Goldberg stuff is frustrating. But it is the Royal Rumble at the end of the day. It's not really a title match pay-per-view that matters. I think I was higher on it than everyone else. I gave it an average, a 3 out of 5, or a 3 out of 4, as Twitter forces us to do. What would you give it?
I'd give it a 2 out of 4. I'd go one lower. Just because it's such a waste of time to have the legends. I mean, taking aside like the irresponsible nature of having the people there and all that, I just don't care about seeing the legends at all. Like, they didn't provide anything. They didn't amplify anything. They didn't really put anyone over. It's not like, oh, you saw Ricochet with Mark Henry, now I care more about Ricochet. Like, not at all. They didn't say anything of note. The only relevant thing was them being on the stage for the WWE Championship match, but that already felt big time anyway. And Goldberg at the end, which you could have done without all the other legends. And for me, it just took a bit of screen time away from other stuff that was happening. So it's just a bit rubbish, I thought. A lot of wasted time on this show, I thought. The stuff that was good, like the main event was great and I loved it. But the there was a lot of wasted time and filler on this show, which just really dragged it out for me.
Yeah. For context, I've been off for 10 days. So when I come back, I'm always rosy and optimistic about WWE. I'll be ground down by next week, don't worry. We're going to read out the rest of the hyper chats that you guys have sent in. Remember, WrestleTalk.com/support. Get them in and we'll read them all out before the end of the show. But first, thanks to our $25 a month or more pledge hammers on Patreon, Arnie K. The K stands for the coolest dude ever.
Woo! Yes, it does. Send me to heaven, Evan Reich. Woo!
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Get those cheap pops in the comments too. Aaron Swanee, The Rock Johnson. Or Swain, then. Aaron Swain, The Rock Johnson.
There we go, because it's spelled the same, but with an S. So it's Swain, The Rock Johnson. Wonderwall, Brian Gallagher. Woo! Thank you very much.
Super Kick, Nick Mazesco.
Woo! Yes, thank you very much. The $100 Man, CD Horver. Woo! Thank you very much.
Kettle Run DX Solo.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. WrestleTalk's personal ring announcer, Rodrigo Benitez. Woo!
Yes,
thank you.
No one names their kid this anymore. Larry!
Woo! Thank you very much. Luke's favorite fan, the one, the only, the awesome Bubba. Woo! Thank you.
Chris, the Cypriot sensation Petru.
Woo! Yes, thank you very much. And finally for today, Will always mark out for Ollie Landrum. Woo! Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Now let's get through our hyper chats. Still on the topic of Goldberg, people want to talk about him. The Adnap 2. If this match has to happen, better it be at Rumble than Mania. The Royal Rumble match is the draw. Goldberg is the Hardcore Holly. Of course, referencing Hardcore Holly versus Brock Lesnar there at Rumble 2006, 5?
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's what I've been saying for this show. So yeah,
I agree with you as long as Goldberg loses.
Yeah. Brett J. Rasmussen. I had a long, massive Brian Alvarez-like rant about Goldberg being back to my friend. I was pissed. Another worse timeline is Goldberg wins at Rumble and fights Roman, champion versus champion at Mania. Roman beats the Rumble winner and fights Goldberg.
Yeah, that's bad. And also, that would also mean that that's not the one night of the year where Raw and SmackDown go head-to-head in direct competition. So they'd be, reneging on that.
What? Matthew McFadden. When our collective hopes for a current-day Goldberg match is, let's hope it's a safe one and there's no inexplicable title change, something's wrong. Also, Randy Orton in the Royal Rumble match after, reportedly, a Firefly Funhouse match.
Yeah, Orton declared himself for the Rumble in this one, so I guess that's whatever they're doing, it's not happening at Rumble. Maybe they're saving that for Mania?
Well, how long are you going to keep the Fiend off TV to sell death?
You'd think forever, because it's
at least
death.
3 weeks.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Give death a 3-week push.
Nate S. My biggest issue with the Omniflare on full display last night, Charlotte said nobody expected her to win last year's Rumble, and she overcame all odds. What? You were the heavy favourite. Also, Ollie, I legit lolled for super spreader.
It's a good joke in today's news, that.
Thank you. Charlotte was very clearly the favourite, although, actually, people were reporting Shayna was going to win.
I thought Shayna was going to win. That doesn't mean I don't think that no one thought Charlotte was going to win. It was a bit dumb, that.
Bonza Ray again. Why not Carlito's Cabana to open the show? Well, go and watch the WrestleTalk news. They were... Is the music playing? I can't hear any music.
No?
People in the chat saying music's playing. Are we accidentally playing music?
I'm not playing anything.
Rich does that thing. Sorry, I forgot.
Oh! Gotcha.
We've got a producer now. They play music before to sort of wrap up the end of the show. Or production values.
Production value. Look at that.
Look, camera cuts as well. This is what we need. Production values.
All right, Kevin Dunn. Jesus.
Carlito was not able to travel to the show because there's a pandemic on. Presumably, actually, I don't know. I just assume the travel issues were related to that. Matthew Robinson, I'm still confused about Legends Night from running short on time and messing up the main event, and the Ric Flair botch with Charlotte is just confusing.
It's so confusing.
Are they trying to sell a Hulk Hogan, a Hulk phone? Such a weird beginning to the show. And AJ Styles' bodyguard with the crazy leg kick on the guitar is the best thing on the show.
Maybe not the best thing. I think the main event was probably better, but yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, it was a confusing night. Sadie Lady 59 again, weekly reminder that Shayna deserves better. I genuinely ignore her segments because they just make me sad. Mandy looked good though, I guess. Do you think Hogan was happy that Goldberg took most of the... Do you think Hogan was happy that Goldberg took most of the heat online after the show?
Probably.
Most.
Yeah, most. Not all, but most. That's what matters.
I don't think he is happy because Hogan likes it when people are talking about Hogan.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. We got some other chats here just about WWE in general. Carson Coneval said, who do you guys think will win the 2021 men's and women's Royal Rumble match as of now? My predictions are going to change slightly because I thought it was going to be Goldberg winning the men's. So now I think it's going to be Lesnar and Charlotte. Yeah, everyone's gonna really love it.
Brian and Charlotte.
That's more realistic. I still want Bianca Belair to win, but I don't think she will. But we'll see. TJ Adams said, so you telling me through a 3-hour show with John Morrison and Melina, previous associates in M&M, no on-screen communication between them, don't see the point now. If Melina distracted Morrison, it would have made sense, I guess. Thank you, boys, for your self-torture. Wouldn't that have been nice?
Of course. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, that's an open goal.
That is an open goal. And the fact they had to just do Lucha house party points instead. Good job, guys. Proud. We've got some other wrestling chats as well. Brad just says, have you guys heard of indie wrestler Eric Shun? A great up and comer. Erection. Yeah. Gotcha.
Oh, God damn it. I was like, I will check out Erection on Google after this show.
I bet you will. And a couple of WrestleTalk chats just to finish things off today. Nathan Kemp said, watched you for years because of my brother. We always watched Ollie and Luke together before Fakador and John Silver. That's me. Nothing cringy. Just want to say thank you for getting the SWAF Nation through 2020. The amount of wrestling I've watched and cero miedo.
I don't know why I did the devil horns there.
Yeah, that's cero miedo. Yeah, that.
Thank you.
And finally, NS Ogre? Sure. Mr. Davis is so toxic, even his computer turns heel. Jam that jam. I wouldn't call him toxic. It's a bit harsh.
Yeah. I'm not toxic. I'm your Jam That Champion. And I'm not just your Jam That Champion. Right now, what else am I, Chopper?
Probably lots of other things. I lose track.
I'm the top of the Wrestle League in the office. And I was joint top of Wrestle League after day 1 of Wrestle Kingdom 15. I'm a freaking wrestling genius right now. After a whole year of being laughed at by about Quizzlemania and always coming last in other prediction shows, I'm genuinely winning. I'm not even working this. I'm not doing little angles where I fire Luke or get Pete to give him all my points at the last minute. I'm genuinely good at this S word. Go and watch some other WrestleTalk videos right now. I've been Mr. Davis. This has been Chopper Pete Quinnell. Jam that mother flipping jam. Welcome to 2021, year of the All Authority.